We already talked about superhero fatigue in the last episode, but I'll mention it here too. If you think superhero fatigue is real, valid, but let's be honest, you're not tired of superhero movies, you're tired of bad movies. I mentioned it in the previous episode that I did for Superman, but I have to say it here too. But this time, I want to quote Movie Time Minute. I'll leave links in the description for you on YouTube if you want to check him out. But he said it so perfectly in chat. When it comes to Superman and Fantastic Four, why does it have to be one over the other? I love both of them for different reasons and on different spectrums. I'm just happy to have two great comic book films in the theater at the same time. It's a time to celebrate, not ridicule. This really sums up what I touched on in the last episode. I just want you guys to know where I stand without making it my whole personality in the video. Like I said last time, I am a fan of the superhero genre, so a win is a win. I love both of these movies for different reasons. So what are the reasons? We're gonna get into it. At the center, this movie is really about family and the bonds that hold people together. And you know I always ride for my ladies, so the way this movie explores the complexities of being a woman, a well-written woman, and a mother, oh my gosh. If you're a fan of the genre, or if you like to be dazzled with incredible visuals, and no, I'm not talking about that baby, then you know we have to talk about it. Set in a vibrant, retro-futuristic 1960s in an alternate universe, Earth 828, The Fantastic Four First Steps introduces audiences to Marvel's first family, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. The film focuses on the team already established as celebrated heroes as they face a formidable new challenge, parenthood and the impending arrival of Galactus, the planet-devouring cosmic entity. If you guys have hung out with me before talking about movies, then you know I am a sucker for a family dynamic. I just love it. So you know we have to talk about the core idea of strength that comes from unity, how love, loyalty, selflessness, resilience, and trust can be more powerful than any cosmic force. And you might be rolling your eyes thinking family isn't that powerful. To that I say, go watch the Fast and Furious franchise because Dominic Toretto literally gets his superpowers from family, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I digress. The Fantastic Four aren't just a team of superheroes, they are a family first. Their bond, whether it's Reed and Sue's marriage, Sue and Johnny's sibling relationship, or the lifelong friendship between Reed and Ben, is what grounds this entire story. Their emotional connection isn't just their background, it's the foundation of their ability to face any challenge. What really gets me about the four is how they don't just rely on their individual strengths or powers. They succeed when they work together, lean on one another, and understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. From large-scale battles to the quiet emotional moments, the film is constantly emphasizing the fact that their bond is what allows them to face the impossible. It's not about who can do what better, it's about trust, communication, and being willing to show up for one another no matter what. One of the film's standout arcs is Reed and Sue as they prepare for their baby, as they prepare to be parents. This storyline elevates parenthood. It's kind of like a superpower, an incredibly strong bond that pushes these characters to a whole other level. Sue has an immediate instinct to protect, to nurture, and to fight for the future of her family. This becomes just as powerful as any cosmic force. And it's that connection that Galactus is trying to break apart, all while Sue Catchley's hand Storm is saying, not today. Galactus's interest in Franklin raises the emotional and narrative stakes. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest threats aren't just about world-ending destruction. They're about what we're willing to do to protect the ones we love. Now, I know I left Mr. Fantastic out of that last bit there, but I also really love the whole tense conversation Reed really embodies. Scientific ambition versus family responsibility. Because when I tell y'all, I was shook. Watching that man wrestle with what it means to be a genius and what it means to be a father added so much depth to his character. It reinforces the message that our bonds, our families, are what make us strong and push us to be more. Before we move on, I do want to take a moment to talk about potential triggers. There aren't many, but you know I got you. We've got that typical action and destruction that we see in superhero flicks, but I do want to make note that I think that the whole idea of family, a very close-knit family, could be upsetting for some viewers. Also, pregnancy and childbirth. None of this is graphic, but I still think it's worth mentioning. There is a labor and delivery scene. There are threats to an unborn and a born child. It's all very PG-13 and a lot of it is CGI. but I really love the acting. I think the performances are strong, and you know how easily I lock in with fictional characters. It was all very impactful, so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. As always, please do your own research and make sure you're in a good headspace before watching. With that all in mind, let's get into what works about this movie. What makes it fantastic? First off, I am obsessed with the way this movie looks. And no, I am still not talking about that baby. That 1960s retrofuturism aesthetic and production design goes crazy. It is stunning and eye-catching. The movie really lives in this vibrant, space age-inspired style, bold colors, sleek design, and an optimistic vibe that truly sets it apart from anything in the superhero genre right now. I've seen critics say the film is exquisite and a visual delight, and they're not wrong. Now, was there a lot of CGI? Yes, but I love the way the practical sets were seamlessly worked into the film. Their universe feels rich and lived in, which makes the film more immersive. Now, it's not all good looks and practical elements. There is so much attention and care put into the family and the characters. There's heart here, real heart that's compelling and interesting. It's not just action, 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 though we love that, and there is some great action in this movie. It's a superhero story that slows down and really gives us time to connect with the characters. Earlier, we talked about the family dynamic being front and center, as well as the emotional journey of Reed and Sue stepping into the role of parents. These characters are super. They have extraordinary abilities, but they're also relatable and grounded. Their journey isn't clear-cut, it's complicated, messy, and emotional in a way that makes them feel honest and real. Now, let's talk about this cast really quick. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm. All of them are excellent. Individually, they're all incredible. But here's the thing. I'm gonna need them to give Ebon more screen time, more story, more something. But the way they interact, that chemistry is where the magic happens and where this movie really shines. You believe they're a family because everyone plays their roles so convincingly. And what I really appreciate here is that I actually believe these characters are as smart as they are supposed to be. I believe that they are all brilliant, that they can pilot, that they're engineers, like they're actually credible and have the experience and knowledge they should have. Now, I love big battles and space as much as the next person, but I love those quieter moments between these characters. I think the performances are strong across the board, but you guys know I love a layered and complex female character in media. And Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm is the strongest part of this film. She brings such an emotional depth and nuance to the character. She is the heart of the team, she's the heart of the film, and she really grounds the whole story. Another standout and personal favorite of mine is Joseph Quinn as Johnny. I love this character so much, and I love the direction they took with him. He's hilarious, charismatic, and hot-headed, but he's also selfless, focused, with an excited energy that makes every scene he's in fun and engaging. I also really love Julia Garner as Shala Ball and Ralph Ineson as Galactus. Both have an incredible presence, they are menacing, and both stand out in their own ways. Another thing that works so well, which we will get into a little more later, is that this movie is set on Earth 828. This means the movie is extremely accessible and works well as a standalone film. Wrapping this section up, between the bold visual style of the film, the cast and their chemistry, the focus on character and family, and the fact that it delivers a faithful adaptation of these iconic heroes, The Fantastic Four: First Steps feels like a welcoming fresh start to this new phase. Quick side note, I mentioned this in the Superman episode, and I gotta mention it here too. I love that we got two superhero movies back to back that not only reintroduce most of us to these characters, but they also skip the origin story movie that most of us have already seen before. With characters like the Fantastic Four and Superman, who've had reboots and re-reboots, it feels like a smart choice. I mean, maybe not smart for everyone because I know some people don't vibe with that, but personally, as someone who's locked in, it's refreshing. Speaking of things that people don't vibe with, we're going to get into some criticisms about the movie, and I'll share my thoughts along the way. One thing I saw online was the uneven character development. I agree with this. This is very much Sue's movie. The focus really is on her, then her relationship with Reed, and then Reed himself, really. They had the most development, and while I do think the four had some solid moments as a group, Johnny and Ben felt less realized. Johnny had several standout moments that I loved, but Ben, on the other hand, wasn't given much. He spent a lot of time staring longingly at Natasha Lyonne, and let's be real, who wouldn't? On the flip side, I think their development worked for the story and tone, but I can still see where these people are coming from. The action scenes got some mixed reactions, and now that I'm kind of seeing what other people are saying, I get it. People said that the creativity in the fight choreography, especially Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, felt underwhelming. Some even compared it to The Incredibles, which is already a really high bar, saying that the Fantastic Four didn't reach the same level of dynamic creative power usage. Okay, I get that. But honestly, my biggest issue with Reed was the CGI. When it came to the big fight at the end or when they see Galactus, I think the lack of unique and inventive power usage was offset by the emotional weight of those scenes. Comparing it to The Incredibles is crazy. I didn't even think of that. To be honest, I had seen a few people making this comparison days before I watched the movie in theaters, and I was not actually thinking about it in the moment at all. I was absolutely fully engrossed in this movie, but again, I can definitely see where people are coming from. Visually, the movie looks incredible. There are some off moments, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about that baby because what were they thinking? Now, I know that it's really hard to have a baby on set. Okay, so I just Googled it and it's actually very hard to have a baby on set, you guys. Wow, this makes so much more sense. According to the internet machines, due to child labor laws, infants can only be on set for very short periods, sometimes as little as 20 minutes. Their work requires a special license and extra crew members on set for their care. I did know about filmmakers employing twins or babies that look similar, but the rest of that was news to me. Does this change my mind about Uncanny Valley CGI baby? No. Should they have employed 10 babies because 3-month-old baby Ada was putting in the work? Yes. Does this baby look better than Renesmee? 100 times yes. But it's still very odd to look at. And the girls that get it, get it. And finally, I just want to touch on something Jay Stoob said over on TikTok. I've seen a couple other people mention it as well, but I really love her takes and I love how she articulates herself. So I linked the video I'm referencing in the YouTube description. I was very surprised when she said that this movie was joyless and that she couldn't stop thinking of how little she smiled throughout. I see where she's coming from, but I'm also that person that just smiles ear to ear when I see something cool. I saw these takes before I watched the movie in theaters, and honestly, I was smiling so much more than I expected to be. However, considering how high the stakes are in this movie and how serious it is, how there are moments of hopelessness, I can see where she and others are coming from. Now, on to everyone's favorite moment in all of our MCU episodes, the what to watch section. If you're wondering how the Fantastic Four First Steps fits into the cinematic universe, Marvel actually made it easy for us this time around. You don't need to watch anything before watching this movie. This movie is set in a completely different universe than the rest of the MCU. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige said, "No homework required," and that is 100% true. This is a new world, new characters, and a new timeline. I did see online that it's described as a fresh start for the MCU. I don't know what that means. A fresh start for Phase 6? Sure, but a fresh start for the MCU? Like, as a whole? I don't think we're there yet, but we'll talk about that in a few years. Anyway, I got sidetracked for a second, but the fact that there is no required viewing makes this movie feel exciting. Now, as much as I love checking in with my mom in the weeks leading up to a film's release to make sure she's watched that one TV show, or leaning over in the theater to explain to her who's who, it was refreshing to watch a self-contained story. No other connections, no mandatory catch-up, just a movie that stands on its own. If you're completely unfamiliar with the MCU, then I would say this is a rare gem that is accessible to new audiences, but consider this your jump scare disguised as a gentle reminder. As of right now, based on the announced release date that it was pushed back to, we are about 500 days away from Avengers Doomsday. So if you have not watched everything, and I mean everything, Disney, Fox, the whole shebang, you gotta watch it. And as always, no matter where you are in your MCU journey, you got this, and good luck. Now let's wrap up with my final thoughts on the movie and whether or not I think The Fantastic Four First Steps is worth 1 hour and 55 minutes of your time. Honestly, this movie is absolutely worth your time. It's a fresh start for Marvel's first family. Yes, it's a reboot, but beyond that, it's a stylized, character-driven take that is refreshing and new while also honoring the family's roots. It leans into a distinct tone and aesthetic that set it apart not only from the previous iconic and fantastic iterations, but also from the entire MCU. So who's this movie really for? If you're looking for something more character-driven than your usual superhero spectacle, The Fantastic Four First Steps delivers. I will say, though, that some of the more recent entries in the MCU are really hitting a nice balance between character focus and superhero spectacle. The heart of this movie is the team's dynamic. This isn't just a group of heroes that teamed up, it's a family. Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach have incredible chemistry, and their dynamic gives the film its emotional core. Their relationships push the story forward in a way that feels grounded and engaging. We already talked about superhero fatigue in the last episode, but I'll mention it here too. If you think superhero fatigue is real, valid, but let's be honest, you're not tired of superhero movies, you're tired of bad movies. Okay, maybe you're burnt out on the superhero genre, that's fair. This movie might not change your mind, but its unique aesthetic, focus on characters, and standalone story might be the refreshing change that you're looking for. We mentioned it a second ago, but I think one of the best things about this movie is that it's set in its own universe, and you don't need to have watched 30+ projects just to keep up. Whether you're a longtime fan or you're new to the MCU, this movie is a rare and accessible entry point to the franchise. Plus, visually, this movie is stunning. I know I talked about it already, but the film's retro-futuristic aesthetic is everything. The production design and VFX are top tier, with just enough practical effects sprinkled in to give it that grounded, tactile feel. Honestly, this movie is just really cool to look at. Unless we're looking at that baby. Now, maybe you're the person who's looking for more action and less character focus, then this movie might feel a little bit off. The first act is slowed down to focus on world building and the setup. If you like your superhero movies more dark or gritty, then the film's look and tone might not click with you. I did mention an optimistic vibe, but I can also recognize that this movie can come across at times kind of a downer. Maybe it's walking a fine line because it also has those heavy and hopeless moments. Finally, I would say if you do not like that this film is set on Earth 828 instead of the main MCU Earth, whatever number, you guys 616 or 199999, that's a whole other conversation. My point is, if you prefer a fully connected film where everything takes place on the main MCU's Earth, then this might not be for you. But I also feel like this is a non-issue because it will connect soon. I don't know, I'm just putting this out there. Overall, The Fantastic Four First Steps kicks off Phase 6 with a vibrant, character-driven, and visually distinct film. It's a fresh and emotionally rich take on Marvel's first family that feels both classic and new. If you're looking for something with a unique tone, strong performances, and real heart, plus some seriously gorgeous visuals, and for the last time, not that baby, this is gonna check a lot of boxes. Alright you guys, a huge thank you to everyone who has stuck around with me to the end of the video. Last time we talked, I shared my thoughts on Superman. As a fan of the superhero genre, I had a lot of fun watching that movie. If you haven't checked that one out yet, you can find it in the top right corner if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify, that episode is available for you as well. If you are enjoying the content on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button if you like the video, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next review. Speaking of next reviews, I am literally putting off going to the movie theaters so that I can catch up. Next up, we're talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and finally, 28 years later, so be sure to click all of the buttons so you don't miss out. If you enjoy on-the-go listening, then you should check out the podcast. If you're already hanging out with me on the pod, thank you so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find a link in the description, or you can just search for the show, A Rocket Review, on Spotify. You can always check out the community tab on YouTube for updates and the occasional poll when I fall behind. I am on Blue Sky at A Rocket Review, all one word. If you want to catch me posting sporadically about what I'm watching, that's where you'll find me. I'm still building, growing, and learning, and I am really grateful to have you guys here with me. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on the podcast, or finding me over on Blue Sky, your support, a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, or comment truly means so much. So before you go, let me know in the comments. What did you think of this take on the Fantastic Four? Are you more or less excited for what comes next in the MCU? Which member of the Fantastic Four stood out the most to you? I want to know what you guys think, so let's get the conversation going. Until next time, spread positivity, and please be safe, take care of yourself, and take care of the people around you. Take breaks from the news, stay hydrated, don't forget to eat, and a friendly reminder that it is okay to distract yourself. So happy movie watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!